Hi everyone, Preston Swan here with School of Prop. Now I know I made this series to talk about statewide propositions, but there are no statewide propositions this year. Everybody's saving up the good stuff for 2016. However, there are some really important issues that we need to understand, and they're all about local elections. So let's turn our attention to school districts. Now first, a quick overview. School districts in Arizona, like every other state, are funded by three sources: federal money, state money, and local money. In Arizona, 15% of school district money comes from federal sources, 36% comes from the state, and 49% comes from local sources. This year's elections are focusing just on the local sources. Now, 27 school districts in Maricopa County have an election this year, and they all focus on one thing: money. Voters in the districts get to approve or deny one of two methods that school districts have for raising funds: a bond or a budget override. A bond is a loan taken out by a school district and paid back through the property taxes of people living in that district. If you don't live in that district, this doesn't impact your property taxes. Now, bonds are used to pay for high-cost capital projects, like building new classrooms or buying buses and computer labs. Bonds are not used for operations, which means they won't be used to hire new teachers or buy classroom supplies. Well, public school districts in Arizona don't get to set their own budget. Instead, the state sets all public school budgets based on a formula that works to ensure all public school students receive equitable amounts of money, regardless of where they live. But if a district thinks it needs more money than the budget allows, they can hold a budget override. An override asks voters in the district if they are okay raising their taxes to fund schools over their budgets set by the state. Now, there are two kinds of budget overrides: maintenance and operations, or M&O, and capital overrides. Maintenance and operations pays for things like teacher salaries and classroom supplies. And capital overrides pay for things like building new buildings or buying new buses. A budget override lasts for 7 years, at which point you either approve a new budget override or the extra money goes away and the taxes go back down. Now, bonds and budget overrides are both paid for by secondary property tax. Now, exactly how much of a tax there is depends on what the school district is asking for, so make sure to check. But it's all based on the value of your property. Now, we're going to do a quick demonstration of how this works if, say, you own a house in the School of Prop Unified School District. Now, let's say the value of your house in this district is $200,000. Arizona taxes property at something called the assessed property value, which is 10% of the full value. So your house has an assessed value of $20,000. Now, the School of Prop Unified School District passes a budget override, increasing your property tax $2 for every $100 of the assessed value of your house. So the override would cost you $400 a year, or $33.33 a month. But let's take this a step further. Let's say the School of Prop Unified School District passed a budget override 6 years ago, and that was already taxing you $350 a year. So this new override would actually only cost you $50 extra from what you're paying right now. This election just wants to know if you are willing to pay more for public schools in your area. Now, there are much larger, much more complicated funding issues for education looming in Arizona in 2016. But for now, for better or worse, the buck literally stops at your doorstep. From School of Prop, I'm Preston Swan, and I'll see you at the polls.